Expand your vocabulary with our core 2,000 words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free English ebook before it's gone. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Welcome to the 2000 Core English Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is tall. 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 We use the word tall when we talk about people and buildings most commonly. Tall is the opposite of short. It means someone who has a lot of height or a building that has a lot of height. Here's an example. The boy is taller than the girl. The boy is taller than the girl. The boy is taller than the girl. Slim. 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 Slim is an adjective that is another way to say thin. So slim on a scale is kind of like a little bit more than skinny. So if we have very, very, very thin over here being skinny, slim is like a step above that. So a slim person looks pretty healthy and maybe they have good habits. Here's an example. Eating lean food can help a person stay slim. Eating lean food can help a person stay slim. Eating lean food can help a person stay slim. Body type. Body type. Body type. A body type refers to the shape of your body. So when we talk about our body type, we might talk about having very wide shoulders or maybe wide hips or a thin waist. And these create some shapes like round shapes or triangle shapes or maybe other shapes that people have depending on their culture. Here's an example. He has a very round body type. He has a very round body type. He has a very round body type. Figure. 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 Figure has quite a few different meanings, but for this video, let's talk about the one that means your body's shape. So when we talk about someone's figure, it's similar to talking about their body type, which refers to their shape. But when we talk about someone's figure, we mean it in terms of like talking about their health. When we say that we should take care of our figure, it's like saying that we should take care of the shape of our body. Here's an example. You have to watch your figure. You have to watch your figure. You have to watch your figure. Thick. 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 Thick can have a few different uses, but when we use it to talk about our body, it refers to someone that has places on their body that are a little bit bigger. This could be due to more fat or it could be due to more muscle. It depends on the person. Here's an example. He's tall and thick. He's tall and thick. He's tall and thick. Thin. 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 Thin is another way to say slim, which we talked about earlier in this episode. Someone who is thin generally doesn't seem to have a lot of fat or maybe doesn't have a lot of muscle on their body, and they might be healthy or they might not be healthy. It's sometimes very hard to tell with thin people. Here's an example. People that do not eat very much stay thin. People that do not eat very much stay thin. People that do not eat very much stay thin. Saliva. 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 Saliva is a different way to say spit. This refers to the liquid that we have in our mouth all the time, that we use to help us eat and drink and so on. So these two words are used in the same way, saliva and spit, but saliva sounds a little bit more like scientific or a little bit more formal. We use spit more in everyday conversation. Here's an example. When I see food I like, saliva builds in my mouth. When I see food I like, saliva builds in my mouth. When I see food I like, Saliva builds in my mouth. Cry. 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 The verb to cry means to release tears from your eyes. So tears are the water that comes from your eyes. So when we cry, we're usually very upset and we maybe make a lot of noise when we do it too, but usually tears also come from our eyes. It's an emotional reaction. Here's an example. The baby is crying. The baby is crying. The baby is crying. Tear. 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 Tear is a noun. One tear is one drop of water that comes from your eye, maybe when you're crying or sometimes when you're laughing too. So one tear is one drop of water that comes down your face. Here's an example. When you cry, tears fall from your eyes. When you cry, tears fall from your eyes. When you cry, tears fall from your eyes. Pimple. 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 Pimple is a noun. This refers to the small, often red things that we find on our skin, usually on our face, but other parts of the body, that happen when we have a skin problem. Like there's maybe part of the skin is irritated. They can turn red, but they usually go away in about a week or so. Here's an example. The man has a pimple on his nose. The man has a pimple on his nose. The man has a pimple on his nose. Let's review. I'm going to describe a word or phrase in English. See if you can remember it. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say the word that is the opposite of short? Tall. Tall. And how to say the word that is another way to say thin. Someone who is this adjective usually looks pretty healthy. Slim. Slim. What about the expression that we use when we talk about the shape of someone's body, like a round shape or a triangle shape? Body type. Body type. And do you remember the word that we sometimes use to talk about maintaining our body shape, especially maintaining a healthy body shape? Figure. Figure. Let's try the word that we use to express that someone has a lot of maybe muscle or fat on their body. Thick. Thick. What about the word that means someone who doesn't look like they have a lot of fat on their body and they might or might not be healthy? Thin. Thin. Now, let's see if you remember how to say the liquid or the water that we usually have in our mouth. The other word for this is spit. Saliva. Saliva. Another one. What about the verb that we use to mean to feel so emotional that water comes from our eyes? Cry. Cry. Do you remember how to say the word for the one drop of water that comes from our eyes when we cry? Tear. Tear. And finally, do you remember how to express the red dot that sometimes appears usually on our face when our skin is a little irritated? Pimple. Pimple. Well done. See you next time. Bye.